What's up, fam? Welcome back to another video. Makaiza and DSL, the way that we walk the path toward the sun together. We're gonna walk that path on the subtle art of not giving a you know what. Let's go. The last paragraph we left off, it was getting real deep, and now you guys are going to see why this book has changed so many lives. Millions, including mine. Pain is an inextricable thread in the fabric of life, and to tear it out is not only impossible, but destructive. Attempting to tear it out unravels everything else with it. To try to avoid pain is to give too many fucks about pain. And in contrast, if you're able to not give a fuck about the pain, you become unstoppable. Now let's move on into the next section, and we're gonna roll right into chapter 2 right here, okay? In my life, I've given a fuck about many things. I've also not given a fuck about many things. And like the road not taken, it was the fucks not given that made all the difference. Chances are you already know somebody in your life who at one time or another didn't give a fuck and then went on to accomplish amazing feats. Perhaps there was a time in your own life when you simply didn't give a fuck and excelled to some extraordinary height. Raise your hand if that's you. Put that hand up, because I've done it too. I've done it too. Not knowing how or why it happened, I just didn't care, so it happened. For myself, quitting my day job in finance after only 6 weeks to start an internet business ranks pretty high up there in my own didn't give a fuck Hall of Fame. Same with deciding to sell most of my possessions and move to South America. Fucks given? None. Just went and did it. These moments of non-fuckery are the moments that most define our lives. The major switch in careers, the spontaneous choice to drop out of college and join a rock band, the decision to finally jump that deadbeat or dump that deadbeat boyfriend who you caught wearing your pantyhose a few too many times. To not give a fuck is to stare down life's most terrifying and difficult challenges and still take action. While not giving a fuck may seem simple on the surface, it's a whole new bag of burritos under the hood. Now, I don't even know what that sentence means, but I don't give a fuck. A bag of burritos sounds awesome, so let's just go with it. Most of us struggle throughout our lives by living or giving too many fucks in situations where fucks do not deserve to be given. We give too many fucks about the rude gas station attendant who gave us our change in nickels. We give too many fucks about the show we liked that's canceled on TV. We give too many fucks when our coworkers don't bother asking us how our awesome weekend was. Meanwhile, our credit cards are maxed out, our dog hates us, and Junior is snorting meth in the bathroom. Yet we're getting pissed off about nickels and everybody loves Raymond. Okay. Look, this is how it works. You're gonna die one day. I know it's kind of obvious, but I'm gonna remind you, in case you forgot. You and everyone you know are going to be dead soon. And in that short amount of time between here and there, you have a limited amount of fucks to give. Very few, in fact. And if you go around giving a fuck about everything and everyone who comes your way without conscious thought or choice, well, then you're gonna get fucked. There is a subtle art to not giving a fuck. And though that concept may sound ridiculous, and I may sound like an asshole, what I'm talking about here is essentially learning how to focus and prioritize your thoughts effectively. How to pick and choose what matters to you and what does not matter to you based on finely honed personal values. This is incredibly difficult. It takes a lifetime of practice and discipline to achieve, and you will regularly fail. But it is perhaps the most worthy struggle one can undertake in one's life. It is perhaps the only struggle in one's life. Because when you give too many fucks, when you give a fuck about everything and everyone, you will feel that you are perpetually entitled to be comfortable and happy at all times. And that everything is supposed to be exactly the way you fucking want it. This is a sickness, and it will eat you alive. You will see every adversity as an injustice, every challenge as a failure, every inconvenience as a personal slight, every disagreement as a betrayal. You will be confined to your own petty, skull-sized hell, burning with entitlement and bluster, running circles around your very own personal feedback loop from hell, in constant motion, yet arriving nowhere. The subtle art of not giving a fuck. When most people envision giving no fucks whatsoever, they might imagine a kind of serene indifference to everything, a calm that weathers all storms. They imagine and aspire to be a person who's shaken by nothing and caves into no one. There's a name for a person who finds no emotion or meaning in anything: a psychopath. Why you would want to emulate a psychopath? I have no fucking clue. So what does not giving a fuck mean? Let's look at 3 subtleties that should help clarify the matter. Subtlety number 1, not giving a fuck does not mean being indifferent. It means being comfortable with being different. Let's be clear. There's nothing, absolutely nothing, admirable or confident about indifference. People who are indifferent are lame and scared. They're couch potatoes and internet trolls. In fact, indifferent people often attempt to be indifferent because in reality, they give too many fucks. They give a fuck about what everyone thinks of their hair, so they never bother washing or combing it. They give a fuck about what everyone thinks of their ideas, so they hide behind sarcasm and self-righteous snark. They are afraid to let anyone get close to them, so they imagine themselves as some spectacle, unique snowflake who has problems that nobody else would ever understand. Indifferent people are afraid of the world and repercussions of their own choices. That's why they don't make any meaningful choices. They hide in a gray, emotionless pit of their own making, self-absorbed, self-pitying, perpetually distracting themselves from this unfortunate thing that's demanding their time and energy, and it's called life. Because here's the sneaky truth about life. There's no such thing as not giving a fuck. You must give a fuck about something. It's part of our biology, okay? To always care about something and therefore to give a fuck, always. The question is, what do we give a fuck about? What are we choosing to give a fuck about? And how can we not give a fuck about what ultimately does not matter? My mother was recently screwed out of a large chunk of money by a close friend of hers. Had I been indifferent, I would have shrugged my shoulders, sipped my mocha, and downloaded another season of The Wire. Sorry, Mom. But instead, I was indignant. I was pissed off. I said, no, screw that, Mom. We're going to lawyer the fuck up and go after this asshole. Why? Because I don't give a fuck. I will ruin this guy's life if I have to. This illustrates the first subtlety of not giving a fuck. When we say, damn, watch out, Mark Manson just don't give a fuck, we don't mean that Mark Manson doesn't care about anything. On the contrary, we mean that Mark Manson doesn't care about adversity in the face of his goals. He doesn't care about pissing off some people to do what he feels is right, important, or noble. Right? We mean that Mark Manson is the type of guy who would write about himself in third person just because he thought it was the right thing to do. He just doesn't give a fuck. This is what is so admirable. No, not me, dumbass. The overcoming adversity stuff. The willingness to be different, an outcast, a pariah, all for the sake of one's own values. The willingness to stare failure in the face and shove your middle finger back at it. The people who don't give a fuck about adversity or failure or embarrassing themselves or shitting the bed a few times. The people who just laugh and then do what they believe in anyway because they know it's right. They know it's more important than they are. More important than their own feelings and their own pride and their own ego. They say, fuck it, not to everything in life, but rather to everything unimportant in life. They reserve their fucks for what truly matters: friends, family, purpose, burritos, and the occasional lawsuit or two. And because of that, because they reserve their fucks for only the big things that matter, people don't give a fuck about them in return. Or people give a fuck about them in return. Because here's another sneaky truth about life. You can't be an important and life-changing presence for some without also being a joke and an embarrassment to others. You just can't. Because there's no such thing as a lack of adversity. It does not exist. The old saying goes that no matter where you go, there you are. Well, the same thing's true for adversity and failure. No matter where you go, there's a 500-pound load of shit waiting for you. And that's perfectly fine. The point isn't to get away from the shit. The point is to find the shit you enjoy dealing with. Subtlety number 2. To not give a fuck about adversity, you must first give a fuck about something more important than adversity. Imagine you're at a grocery store and you watch an elderly lady scream at the cashier, berating him for not accepting her 30-cent coupon. Why does this lady give a fuck? It's just 30 cents. Hey, Onyx, you want to come here? You want to come here? I hear you running over there, making sure the mic don't fall. Come here, mama. Come here, Stinks. Good girl. Oh, there's her fat booty. Say hi, Stink. Hi. Say hi to the camera. That's just you? Okay, you don't want to see your cute self? You're so cute. See you later, baby. And we have a special guest, Bandit, too, but she's too damn big. I'm not going to pick her up. Here, let's look at Bandit real quick. Make sure I don't unplug anything. What's up, mama? Her water bowl and stuff over there. Hi, baby. All right, so back to the nitty gritty, right? So the old lady yelling at the dude, it's only 30 cents, right? Now, I'll tell you why that lady's yelling. That lady probably doesn't have anything better to do with her days than to sit at home cutting out coupons. She's old and lonely. Her kids are dickheads and never visit. She hasn't had sex in over 30 years. She can't fart without extreme lower back pain. Her pension is on its last legs, and she's probably gonna die in a diaper thinking she's in Candyland. So she snips coupons. That's all she's got. It's her and her damn coupons. It's all she can give a fuck about because there's nothing else to give a fuck about. And I really feel bad for this woman, me personally. And so when that pimply-faced 17-year-old cashier refuses to accept one of those coupons, when he defends his cash register's purity, the way knights used to defend the maiden's virginity, you can bet Granny is going to erupt. 8 years of fucks will rain down all at once, or 80 years of fucks. 80 years of fucks will rain down all at once. Like a fiery hailstorm of back in my day and people used to show more respect stories. The problem with people who hand out fucks like ice cream at the goddamn summer camp is that they don't have anything more fuckworthy to dedicate their fucks to. If you find yourself consistently giving too many fucks about trivial shit that bothers you, your ex-boyfriend's new Facebook picture, how quickly the batteries die in the TV remote, missing out on yet another 2-for-1 sale on fucking hand sanitizer, chances are you don't have much going on in your life to give a legitimate fuck about. And that's your real problem, not the hand sanitizer, not the TV remote. I once heard an artist say that when a person has no problems, the mind automatically finds a way to invent some. You know, I think what most people, especially educated, pampered middle-class white people, consider life problems are really just side effects of not having anything more important to worry about. It then follows that finding something important and meaningful in your life is perhaps the most productive use of your time and energy. Because if you don't find that meaningful something, your fucks will be given to meaningless and frivolous causes. Now, subtlety number 3. Whether you realize it or not, you're always choosing what to give a fuck about. People are not just born not giving a fuck. In fact, we're born giving way too many fucks. Ever watch a kid cry his eyes out because his hat was the wrong shade of blue? Exactly. Fuck that kid. When we're young, everything's new and exciting. Everything seems to matter so much. Therefore, we give tons of fucks. We give a fuck about everything and everyone and what people say and are thinking about us and whether that cute boy or girl calls us back or not, whether our socks match or not, whether our color of our birthday balloon is, whatever the fuck the color is. As we get older, with the benefit of experience and having so much time slip by, we begin to notice that most of these sorts of things have little lasting impact on our lives. Those people whose opinions we cared about so much before are no longer present in our lives. High school, raise your hand. Who has made it through high school and still talks to, let's even say 10% of the people you knew? Probably not. Now, rejections that were painful in the moment have actually worked out for the best. We realize how little attention people pay to the superficial details about us, and we choose not to obsess too much over them anymore. Essentially, we become more selective about the fucks we're willing to give. This is something called maturity. It's nice. You should try it sometime. Maturity is what happens when one learns to only give a fuck about what is truly fuck-worthy. As Bunk Moreland said to his partner Detective McNulty in The Wire, which fuck you, I still downloaded, that's what you get for giving a fuck when it wasn't your turn to give a fuck, end quote. Then as we grow older and enter our middle age, something else begins to change. Our energy level drops. Our identity solidifies. We know who we are and we accept ourselves, including some of the parts we aren't thrilled about. And in a strange way, this is liberating. We no longer need to give a fuck about everything. Life is just what it is. We accept it, warts and all. We realize that we're never going to cure cancer or go to the moon or feel Jennifer Aniston's tits, and that's okay. Life goes on. We now reserve our ever-dwindling fucks for the most truly fuck-worthy parts of our lives. Our families, our friends, our best friends, our golf swing. And to our astonishment, this is enough. This simplification actually makes us really fucking happy on a consistent basis. And we start to think maybe that crazy alcoholic Bukowski was onto something. Don't try. So Mark, what the fuck is the point of this book anyway? Because now we're at the end of the chapter. This book will help you think a little bit more clearly about what you're choosing to find important in life and what you're choosing to find unimportant. I believe that today we are facing a psychological epidemic, one in which people no longer realize it's okay for things to suck sometimes. I know that sounds intellectually lazy on the surface, but I promise you it's a life or death sort of issue. Because when we believe that it's not okay for things to suck sometimes, then we unconsciously start blaming ourselves. We start to feel as though something is inherently wrong with us, which drives us to all sorts of overcompensation, like buying 40 pairs of shoes or downing Xanax with vodka or shooting up a school bus full of kids. I mean, those are some extreme examples, but you get the point. This belief is that it's not okay to be inadequate. Sometimes is the source of the growing feedback loop from hell that is coming to dominate our culture. The idea of not giving a fuck is a simple way of reorienting our expectations for life and choosing what is important and what is not. Developing this ability leads to something I like to think of as a kind of practical enlightenment. No, not that airy, fairy, eternal bliss, end of all suffering, bullshitty kind of enlightenment. On the contrary, I see practical enlightenment as becoming comfortable with the idea that some suffering is always inevitable. That no matter what you do, life is comprised of failures, loss, regret, and even death. Because once you become comfortable with all the shit that life throws at you, and it will throw a lot of shit, trust me, you become invincible in a sort of low-level spiritual way. After all, the only way to overcome pain is to first learn how to bear it. This book doesn't give a fuck about alleviating your problems or your pain. And that is precisely why you will know it's being honest. This book is not some guide to greatness. It could be, because greatness is merely an illusion in our minds, a made-up destination that we obligate ourselves to pursue, our own psychological Atlantis, if you will. Instead, this book will turn your pain into a tool, your trauma into power, and your problems into slightly better problems. That is real progress. Think of it as a guide to suffering and how to do it better, more meaningfully, and with more compassion and more humility. It's a book about moving lightly despite your heavy burdens, resting easier with your greatest fears, laughing at your tears as you cry them. This book will not teach you how to gain or achieve, but rather how to lose and let go. It will teach you to take inventory of your life and scrub out all the most important items. Scrub out all but the most important items. It will teach you to close your eyes and trust that you can fall backwards and still be okay. It will teach you to give fewer fucks, and it will teach you not to try. Namaste, family. Digest that sucker in. If you haven't gotten to see the first 2 videos, I put them in the little information box, one of these corners. Like, share, subscribe. This book is fantastic. It's helped me, and I know that if you stuck with it this whole time, it's obviously helping you too. So give Mark Manson some love. He has a YouTube channel as well. I put the link in the description for you, so you can just click over there. Check out his other videos, because he is able to take out what's in the book and speak on it. And when you hear him say it, it hits you a lot harder. So I would suggest to go follow the man, pick up the book so we can read along together and digest this fantastic non-fuckery information. Mwah! I love y'all. See you on the next one.